Hello, welcome to Show Boys. My name is Mike, and I have my good friend Dad, the producer, with me tonight. Another Dad and Mike cast this week.
Yeah.
Don't know what's going on. Have Nick and Chad just deserted us? I don't know. I guess I'll tune in next week, see if they're back. But how you doing tonight, dude?
I'm good. I'm a little sweaty. Helped a friend of ours move, and it's really hot outside.
Yes,
so,
it is too.
And I didn't get a chance to wash myself, so I'm a little sweaty and stinky. It's awesome.
Yeah, I had to shave the beard. It's getting a little warm up here, so decided to take off the winter coat, participate in summer.
Yeah. It's not November
yet. Thumbnail is looking spicy this week. Whoever designed this this art for Secret Invasion loves this color green. Like, holy cow. Also, Ben Mendelsohn's picture down there between the O and the N. It's kind of looking a little bit like Tom Cruise. Kind of looks a little bit like Tom Cruise in that picture.
An older Tom Cruise.
Yeah, which is funny to say because Tom Cruise is kind of getting up there.
Yeah, he's up there.
But yeah, we're here tonight. 150th episode, which is kind of cool.
Woo!
That kind of snuck up on us. I should say 150th Thursday night episode.
Right.
We've had several like side podcast series and stuff of that nature, but yeah, 150 Thursdays.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah, thank you for being here with me to celebrate, unlike the other hosts of the show.
Yeah, they're just not committed.
Yeah, it's you hate to see it. Before we get into anything, I just want to shout out top tier patrons Tim B, Yusuf H, and Josie. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. One of the perks you get for being a top tier patron is some free merch after a certain number of months as a top tier patron, and those have been shipped out. So you guys should hopefully be getting your perks, your little merch perks here soon. So once you guys get those, you should take a picture and tweet it at us or something. Throw it in Discord, whatever. Hope you guys enjoy. We enjoy your support. Thank you guys so much. And all of our other patrons, you guys rock too. We just had what was it, Tuesday night, recorded the first episode of the Tomb Raider Patreon series, so that was fun. Sign up. You can listen to all of our Patreon exclusive episodes once you sign up for that tier. All episodes, all our entire backlog of Patreon exclusives are open for you to consume, so go check it out if you want. Patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Tonight, if you couldn't tell by the background art and the thumbnail or the episode title, we're going to be recapping and reacting to the Secret Invasion series that just wrapped up last night over on Disney Plus, latest MCU series to come at us. We definitely have opinions and things to say about this. At least I do. I don't know. How about you? Yeah. So it could be a short episode. I don't know. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I guess we'll just get right into it.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say. Do you?
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. You know what? Hey, let's just get this out in the open.
Okay.
In case anyone's wondering what's been happening to my backdrop here.
I've been taking all his stuff.
Yeah. How almost every other week, some aspect of my background has changed. You'll notice I'm not sitting in the dark and all my lights are on. I don't have my fun LEDs lit up and stuff. I'm in the middle of trying to sell my house. So, yeah, sometime in the near future, there will be a change of scenery here. So on my end. So
if you guys need a house, Mike's got one to sell.
I do have one to sell. I am definitely selling it. So
I would buy it if I could.
Thank you, man. But yeah, other than that, I mean, that's made life incredibly busy. You know, having to duck out of the house for showings, getting everything ready, all that fun stuff, trying to plan and prepare for a multiple state move. We're heading from all the way up in Ohio all the way down to Florida, so that should be fun. It actually should be fun. I'm really excited. But yeah, that's what's been going on. So I guess everything, to answer your question, everything's been going on. I'm doing swell under the circumstances. So
That's good.
yeah, let's talk about Secret Invasion.
Okay.
What's the last Marvel entry you've watched prior to this?
Oh man. All right. So I've seen Doctor Strange 2.
Okay.
I saw. Did Thor come after that? I think it
Whatever
did.
the new one.
Love and
I believe.
Thunder. So I think that is the last one I saw. So I don't.
It's been a while.
That probably says a lot right there. But
yeah, I'm trying to find a list of. Okay, so here are the MCU series that are MCU canon so far that have released: WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, the animated What If series, Hawkeye, Moon Knight,
Moon Knight.
Yeah, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and now Secret Invasion. So, if we're talking show, like series-wise, for me, I watched She-Hulk. I guess the only series now I'm looking at. I didn't watch the What If series, which I've actually heard is pretty interesting. And I have not watched Miss Marvel. I've seen all the other series so far. And movie-wise, I saw Guardians, but I've definitely missed a handful of the ending of Phase 4. Well, I guess, have they released any Phase 5 movies yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I've missed a handful of movies just off the top of my head. Black Widow, which probably would have been useful to watch prior to this series, since they reference a lot of Russian things, and that's kind of a major set piece in Black Widow. But yeah, Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, the Eternals, Black Panther 2, and maybe some others. But I haven't seen the Multiverse of Madness.
Do you see
right there off the top of my head? No. So there's 6 movies that I haven't seen so far.
So Ant-Man kicked off Phase 5.
Oh, okay.
And then Guardians 3.
Okay, I did see Guardians 3. So I'm a little behind on movies. I'm only one series behind on the series side of things. And honestly, I'm just gonna be real.
Be real, man. This is a safe place.
The shows have quickly been plummeting downhill. WandaVision was pretty awesome.
Yes.
Loki was pretty cool. As, no pun intended, grounded the Falcon and Winter Soldier was compared to the other two. Of course, dealing less with cosmic and like magical threats and more of like the human earthly, Captain America type threats. That series was pretty good.
Yeah.
Hawkeye was okay. Moon Knight was just okay to me. Haven't seen Miss Marvel yet. She-Hulk was not great. And Secret Invasion, honestly, not superb.
No.
How did you feel about Secret Invasion? Just general thoughts.
I've mixed.
Yeah.
Because there were so many cool concepts that they brought to the table. but so poorly executed, in my opinion.
Yes.
Like really cool, like political thriller type thing going on.
Mhm.
Really cool. And then the whole, we can get into more of that, but just like you don't know who people really were.
Mhm.
That part was really cool, but then they kind of blew that right in the beginning.
Yeah.
I struggled, honestly.
Yeah. You had brought up before we started recording or went live tonight that you had brought something up about Andor, which I thought was funny because we don't talk about what we're going to talk about before we go live or record.
Mhm.
And I was thinking earlier, I was like, this kind of feels like, here's Northeast Ohio reference, like the Big Lots or Ollies like version of Andor for the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, you have the Skrulls, rebels trying to, do their thing, and there's a lot of espionage and spy thriller type things going on in the series, and that's kind of obviously what they were going for with
Yeah.
Secret Invasion. But yeah, it's just I don't know. That, like, I also don't know if my continual what's the right word? Lack of enthusiasm for the Marvel series. Is it because I'm like getting older? Is it because I'm like priorities in life have kind of shifted to where like I have something super important going on in life, so like finding time to sit down in front of the TV and watch something like this and like really get invested and care, like because my mind's wrapped up in something else that's super important?
Well,
Or are these just like poor quality shows now?
so have you watched anything else?
So this whole move life change process has been happening. It started in January, so pretty much all year. And if you've noticed, like I haven't streamed games all year.
Right.
And my TV watch time has been significantly down. I've watched a handful of things here and there for the podcast, but like I watched Andor. I loved it, was invested. At that point I wasn't, trying to sell my house, but still had a very big life changing decision like that I was going through.
Yeah.
And I like that, I've man, I don't know. I mean, I just I haven't watched much of anything really.
Yeah, it's probably a mix of both.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on, so you can't like fully dive into something,
Mhm.
I guess. But
I
it's
think
also
maybe also like I'm just at that point where I'm like when I'm watching something, like it really needs to like sink its claws in
Yep.
and like be excellent, because like we're in the day and age now with like we've talked about many times, and especially when we're going through the March Madness stuff, like the state of TV, due to like streaming exclusives and having the budget of these streaming platforms behind you, and the level of quality that we're hitting with like nearly cinematic quality in TV shows like you've never seen before over the last handful of years. Like for me, the quality of a show now, the standard, the bar is so high, and it like if Secret Invasion came out like 7 years ago, we would all be like, this is the greatest show maybe we've ever seen.
would we though?
I don't know, maybe, but like I don't know. There's a lot of things to get into, but
Yeah, for
your
sure.
general thoughts, it was meh.
Yeah, I mean, it's an internal dilemma within myself that I'm like, I want to like it,
Yeah.
but there's just so much that like fell flat that like I'm kind of like at that point where I wanted to hold out for Marvel. Like, all right, you can have another chance in my heart, you know, I'll give you another chance.
Yeah.
And I actually remembered what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Marvel to me is like the emotionally abusive spouse that like you just keep getting beat up and you're just like, it's gonna get better, it's gonna
Yeah.
get better, but does it?
They have my CDs. Any random throwback to a Dane Cook joke, if anyone used to listen to
Yeah.
Dane Cook back in the day.
Dude, I saw a TikTok of him. He got a little chubby, looked
He
like.
did. He did.
But he was doing the whole, I know you don't do the whole TikTok thing, but they do this like AI Mortal Kombat thing. So you like strike a pose, hold down the button, and it like pans across, and you turn into like this Mortal Kombat character, which is outrageous.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I remembered. There it is. You're welcome.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I also wonder if maybe like, I mean, who's the, I forget who it was that came out and said this, whether it was Feige or another Marvel exec or a Disney exec, someone somewhere involved in Disney or Marvel said in an article, in an interview or whatever, it was written in an article, that they realize that they've kind of like, essentially paraphrasing, they've gone for quantity over quality, and maybe they should like scale back a little bit so they can actually like focus on the projects that they are putting out and making them, raising the quality back up to like the early Marvel standards, instead of just releasing like a new show every 2 months and a movie like every 3 months, and there's just like 15 Marvel properties releasing a year. I think that plays a big part into, at least, I'm speaking strictly on the TV side of things, as I've missed out on the last several movies. That could be an explanation of the slow decline of the series. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I mean, you start doing this, you're rushing everybody. You're rushing your artists, you're rushing your writers, and you get rushed, you get stressed out. You're not gonna do your best work. That's just what it comes down to. That like if there's a strict timeline, like we all have, stuff that we have to get done in a certain amount of time, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I'm gonna throw 5 more projects on you that I want done yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's just gonna tax anybody. Like,
yeah.
So no wonder the
that kind of like, yeah, no kidding. And I wanted to open the episode with a funny like little, hey, SAG, whatever, said that, entertainment podcasters can talk about these shows and blah, 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 make some funny comment about, I've seen several indie content creators that clearly would not be on anyone's radar for like doing anything disrespectful or whatever, say things like that. It's like, yeah, dude, I want the writers and actors get their bag. They should be treated fairly, but to pretend like anyone important is listening to this podcast and cares, like, but yeah, it kind of lends itself to what we were talking about in the indie gaming, AAA gaming conversation. What was that, last week, I guess? Where like, suits and deadlines and diminishing quality of work. Yeah, similar thing. Did you know that the opening credit sequence
Yes. I
generated by
already know what you're
AI?
gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is actually getting a lot of backlash as well.
Yes, a lot.
I thought it was actually kind of cool. I mean, it was different.
Yeah. It looked cool because like the imperfections of AI art, like making things look like uncanny and a little off kilter, kind of plays into like
It
the whole
it
Skrull like
fit.
disguising, and it's just it made a lot of sense, and it looked cool, and it looked a little unsettling. I
Which
liked
is what
it.
they were going
That
for.
was
Yeah,
interesting.
which is cool.
But I'm gonna take a stand here and say, shame on you, Disney, for using AI instead of paying artists to make that work.
Yeah.
Down with the corporate overlords.
And we know you're listening.
That's right. So I think all that aside, like I still had fun watching it. I enjoyed it on like an entertainment level and not so much on like an analytical level, or where you're like, if you watch this outside of a purely for entertainment reasoning, you're going to find a lot of things to talk about and pick apart. It's not the most well crafted series, but I thought the overall concept and story of Skrulls invading Earth and there being a rebel sect like that want to overthrow humankind and take Earth as their home, because we know back in Captain Marvel, the Kree, kind of destroyed the Skrull planet, and they're basically vagabonds floating around throughout the galaxy. And Fury and Kara Danvers trying to find them a new home. And as we see through events of the series, that the leader of the rebels here kind of got sick of waiting and felt Fury was lying about finding a home, so he decided to take matters into his own hand. Really cool concept, right? Because these Skrulls, they're shapeshifters. You don't know, you can't tell who a Skrull is from me or you, and like that's an incredible concept for an incredible story.
I actually kind of wanted to paint half of my face green for tonight.
Man, that scene where Talos kind of bit the dust there in the ambush on the president, when he was like slowly changing back between like Skrull and human form, I thought those effects there in that scene in particular, super
when he was
cool.
bashing the window to save the president.
It's just like he's slowly changing back into the Skrull, and like I thought the effects there were really, really good. Some other scenes, the effects not so great. Entertaining. If you put the rose-colored glasses on and just sit back and be like, I'm just gonna be entertained. You'll be entertained, but
you will.
So, did anything in particular stick out to you? Let's tackle the positives first.
Okay.
Was there any scenes, any story beats, performances that stuck out to you as being good?
I did like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's anything that he can't do. Like he's just awesome. Just the way he carries himself. Don't mess with this dude. But like the way they showed him though, like coming down like at his low point. I think he did that pretty well. I did kind of wonder if he was a Skrull. I had that feeling, but glad he wasn't. Oh, man, I'm trying to like go back.
I thought there were some really great Samuel L. Jackson scenes. For sure.
Yeah.
I loved I was watching some videos from one of my favorite YouTube channels. Excuse me, New Rock Stars. They have great videos talking about Easter eggs and things of that nature. Eric Voss pointed out something I obviously saw during the run of the season, but didn't really think too deeply about the actual implication of what was happening. But the alternating of him wearing glasses to the eye patch to nothing on his eye was really kind of cool. Now, looking back at what those actually signify, the glasses you see in the scene, I think it was in the end of the first episode where they're trying to track the couriers to stop the attack. His glasses, have UI. They're high tech, like Stark would have, that allow him to see things, right? And those glasses you see him have on, during the train ride with Talos, conversations with Priscilla. So he's a bright guy. He's wearing those glasses for specific reasons in all of those scenes. So now looking back on it, I'm like, oh, so he was when he was talking to Priscilla in the kitchen, he had those glasses on. He was trying to uncover some information and stuff through his conversation with her. That's super interesting. Same with Talos on the train. And then of course, his eye patch, kind of signifies Nick feeling like the Nick of the past, the strong, confident leader. And then when he kind of had nothing on, he just didn't get those kind of his low points, you were saying. Little things like that I thought were pretty cool.
And then at the end, when he puts the eye patch back on, gets his trench coat, he's like, oh, he's back.
Yes, and it changes his beanie to a different color. I loved it.
That part was pretty cool.
Yeah.
A little cheesy, but it was cool.
Yeah. They're one of my favorite characters in the entire season. Well, I shouldn't say season. This is a limited series like this, all we're going to get. So in this series, Sonia Fallsworth, who's played by Olivia Colman. I have a fondness for Olivia Colman. I think she's pretty much great in every role she is in. But she just kills this role. Her character is so good. And her character alongside Nick Fury, I thought they play really well off each other. Their characters' personalities really complement each other, and the fact that they're both kind of the top spy intelligence division heads for the US and for Britain. Super cool. What'd you think of Fallsworth? You know who I'm talking about? She's the older lady who helps Fury, and in the last episode with retrieving the president, stuff like that. She's the English lady.
Oh, okay. I did, and she's the one that interrogated the one Skrull. Okay. Yeah. I liked her, but I don't remember seeing her before this.
In the MCU?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Of course,
she, for me, she kind of
movies
came out of left field, in my opinion.
I'm gonna Google that real quick. Tell me something else you liked while I do a quick Google search.
Maria Hill.
Oh yes.
She's pretty great. Although, rip.
Yes, indeed.
Big rip. I like Talos.
Yeah, Talos was good.
Just wanted his daughter,
Yeah. Man, Talos. His voice is so deep and
voice.
Gargly.
Yeah.
So deep.
Yep. Sounds like he'd be a military general, which he was.
Yeah.
But then wasn't.
abilities, appearances. Yeah, this only has of course, quick Google search. Not the most thorough. But apparently Fallsworth has only appeared in this show.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed her character. She was important. I just didn't know why she was important.
Mm-hmm.
And then making the deal with Gaia at the end. Like, why?
Yeah, that part, I'm interested to see kind of how that unfolds in the future. But again, still looking up the Fallsworth stuff. Apparently, she's not a character in the comics. There's a tie with Captain America, the first Avenger. There's a man, British soldier named James Montgomery Fallsworth in that movie that was part of the Howling Commandos. So Sonya could be a descendant of James Montgomery Fallsworth. But yeah, one thing that definitely had me scratching my head is the link up of Gaia and Fallsworth at the end, like you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And even more of a head scratcher was the like body farm they walked into, essentially.
Yeah, that was like super random.
I'm guessing were humans that Skrulls have stolen the identities of.
Well, much like that main chamber that they walked,
like
that
the
Gaia
pods
freed.
they had,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Like zero explanation, zero really lead up to that in any of the previous 5 episodes. They're just like randomly, hey, Gaia, let's team up. And by the way, I'm going to show you this giant human farm that I found. What do you think? Like, I don't know.
It was super random and like totally out in left field, but like they're obviously trying to set something up.
Yeah. And she's like, she's the British Nick Fury, essentially. So,
right.
I mean, she's a clever, cunning person. So I'm sure she had some intelligence of things that were going on. I hate over explanation in movies or shows.
Yeah.
I like things being left to the viewer to piece together. However, I also think there should be some pieces to piece together. Like,
give me something.
Technically, the pieces were there are Skrulls. There's one piece. And the second piece, they had human pods in the Chernobyl light. So I guess those were our 2 pieces to then assume that there was a massive underground human farm.
Well, and then there was also the piece of the Super Skrulls.
Yes, Super Skrull.
Which is a very, very big part of the entire story. Like in the comics. Like, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, the comic story, of course, both of us going through this, probably never having read Secret Invasion and definitely not being the Showboys comic expert, Jordan. So if he is listening to this, I'm sure he's probably ripping his hair out, like head hair, facial hair, chest hair. Like, he's just a very hairy guy.
Every hair.
So he's got plenty to rip out during this segment of the episode. But from what I've ascertained today, the Secret Invasion comic run, essentially the Super Skrulls and all of that stemmed from a conflict between the Skrulls and the Fantastic Four. And this Super Skrull, the initial Super Skrull, whether it was just the one person, the one Skrull who had like no vowels in his name. I can't remember his name, but he had a combination of the Fantastic Four power set And then later on, the future Super Skrulls then just had like combinations of heroes' powers. So obviously that's a little bit different because as of now, Fantastic Four haven't really been a part of the MCU. I think there was like an appearance of them in the Multiverse of Madness, but again, I haven't watched that movie. So
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. There has been hints though, like Monica Rambeau in WandaVision made a phone call to a scientist, and that's been heavily speculated to be Reed Richards. So anyways, essentially Gravik, who is the rebel leader, the Skrull rebel leaders leader, the Skrull rebel group's leader. I just kind of threw all the words together. His whole game plan is to create the Super Skrull, and what he is trying to obtain from Nick Fury is what they call the Harvest, which is a cocktail of Avenger and other hero DNA, which we learned that one of the little side missions Fury had the Skrull operatives handle. They reference specifically the Battle of Earth, which I think is cool. That's like the first time that the fight with Thanos has been like officially named in the MCU. The Battle of Earth. I think that's a cool name. And the fact that it's just now a named event.
Right.
He had somehow sent the Skrulls to collect specific blood from the battlefield, which how the heck do you know? Like, just put the glasses on for that whole plot line. But sent the Skrulls to collect Avenger and other hero, even villain DNA, because as you see, they have a couple, I think 2 instances. One where Gaia is looking at the like 1992 like DOS computer thing. And it lists why can't I remember exactly who?
But I see Thanos' name in that.
Thanos' name was on the later when Gravik like inserts the DNA tube like vial.
That's right.
And the computer pulls it up, which let me just throw this out there. This was another, it's a stupid gripe, but like this is like, come on. You got to get this right. They use like some of the heroes and villains like names, like Thor Odinson. Thanos's henchmen they name by name, and they name Thanos, which I guess that's just his name. But then they're like Captain America. Like, okay, so is it Steve Rogers or is it Sam? Like, why are you throwing like hero monikers in this database? Why wouldn't they be like, this is Steve Rogers, this is freaking Clint Barnes, this is Bucky, whatever, they're like, no, Winter Soldier, Thor Odinson. I don't know. Just another, it's stupid. I know it's stupid.
Well, I mean, the only thing I can say with the Captain America thing is that there was technically only one Captain America. The original. He is Captain America.
Wow, dude.
Because he had the powers. Wow. That's why his blood was changed.
I mean, that's true. But still, it's sloppy. It's sloppy is what it is. Because if you just name, no one entering DNA into a computer is going to put an alias.
True.
Like, you're going to put the name. Just put the name. Because you already put the name for other people. You could just put Thor instead of Thor Odinson. Like,
you had like Captain Marvel also.
Yeah. Just put Cara Danvers. Yeah. Like, come on. But when Gaia looks, there's only like 4. One of them was like an ice ice beast from one of the Thor movies.
Groot
was on there. Thanos's one like beefy henchman guy that gets his arm chopped off in the Doctor Strange portal during that battle. I can't recall his name exactly, but he was on there, and somebody else was. But yeah, so Gravik is after this cocktail of DNA, obviously, to then morph with his or other Skrull DNA to give them superpowers, be super Skrulls. So that's kind of like the whole objective here. And
I'm looking through that list. I'm trying to find that name.
Yes, please do. Yeah, he. Do you want to talk about the end now, or do we want to go through some other stuff before we get to the end? Because I have a lot to say about the end. So,
yeah, I mean, we can, and then we can always go back to other stuff.
Okay, so first off, I think probably I was not okay. Go ahead.
I got it. It's Cull Obsidian.
Yes, that's it.
He's the big dude.
Yep. Yes,
but there was also his other Proxima Midnight.
Yep, and then the Squidward dude was in there too.
Corvus Glaive.
No, there's another one, Ebony something or other.
They also had one of the dogs. And let me see if I can try to find them.
They also had the just the generic like alien creatures from
Ebony Maw.
Yeah, Ebony Maw. I always forget what Loki's like alien henchmen were in the first Avengers movie in the Battle of New York. Just like the
Chitauri.
Yeah, the Chitauri. They were in there. Yep. So they were just scooping everyone's DNA.
Seriously. They even have Valkyrie's DNA in there.
Yep. They have like the Abomination. They have several people who were not in the Battle of Earth. Like Abomination was not there. There were a handful of others from there too that were not in the Battle of Earth. So the Fury probably it kind of reminds me of like almost like what Batman does in the Justice League, the New 52 run. He doesn't collect the other Justice League members' DNA, per se, but what he does is he in his Batcave he has like this thing under lock and key of all of the ways that you can defeat the members of the Justice League in case anything were to happen. This kind of reminded me of that.
Which is very smart.
Yeah. Especially like Batman's just a human dude. He's gotta have everything like
which is
ready to go just in case.
Which was another tie-in with Andor that I was thinking about. Because with Andor, we were getting a very human story, right? No Jedi, nothing crazy. With this, I thought we were gonna get a mostly human story. I mean, we did have aliens, but I thought it was gonna be just like Nick Fury hashing this thing out like a human dude. Using his wit. And I mean, we got that for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, really up until like the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yep. I mean, you did have some moments of what's his face using the Groot arm. But it was really at the end that it kind of just blew up.
Yeah, for the most part, they kind of did it. And like, I thought it was cool that like Gravik would kind of even somebody else even mentioned, I think, like, hey, why aren't you calling your friends,
Yeah.
And Fury's like, no, I got to do this like on my own. And like he not only does he kind of want to do this on his own because he feels like this is a problem that he created.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, it was, his
right.
I guess Gravik's like human daddy issues with Fury kind of caused this.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, like Fury understands what Gravik wants to do, and it's if anything were to happen to an Avenger or a hero where Gravik could get his hands on DNA or something to make the Super Skrull, like you don't want that to happen. So that was kind of the other reason that he kind of wanted to do this on his own and in the human fashion. But like, yeah, you're right. We almost got it. Almost got it. And then at the end we had the most overpowered being ever created in the history of superheroes. So that'll be fun.
Two of forward. The most overpowered.
Yeah, but luckily one of them died. So
can we talk about when Fury went in there to talk to Gravik? Like he walks in there, right? And he's coughing because it's Chernobyl 2.0.
Yeah.
And like that part kind of threw me, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I was not expecting that to be Gaia.
Yeah, like
they pulled one over on me.
Dude, when he throws his punch at Fury and he catches it, I'm like, oh, does Fury have powers?
Like, Fury's a superhero, and then it's like, no,
and then he punches him, and then it's Gaia. Yeah. That part.
I thought that was cool, and I don't know if it's just I'm slipping in my old age, but like I did not see that coming. But here's what I'll say on the reverse of the things I liked that Samuel L. Jackson did in this series. I think some moments, a handful of times, where I just felt like Samuel's performance was pretty lackluster. Like he looked like somebody trying to act, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There was a part in probably the first episode when they were first talking, and I'm like, wow, this just doesn't feel quite right. I can't remember it exactly.
Some lines of dialogue, just some of the ways that he like moved during scenes. There was one, I don't remember the specifics, but of him like sitting down in disdain over something, and I'm just like, oh man, it's kind of cringy. Like it really looks like you're trying to act right now, and you're
trying to sit down.
That's not a good sign when I can see that you're trying to act.
Right.
And some of those moments for me was him, which was, I guess, really Gaia pretending that she was being affected by the nuclear radiation, which I get you got to do that for the audience to get that twist, but like, who's she trying to trick? Like, half the time she's walking through this place like alone.
Yeah.
No one's there, and she's like stumbling around, like coughing, and like, no one's here, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not affected by this. Like, Skrull's radiation does not affect you.
So it must have just been the trick.
Yeah. It was. If you want to like put the glasses on, like, hey, you never know, he could be lurking around any corner. You got to like play the part.
Yeah.
But even with all that, like, I thought that scene there in the reactor room, I'll call it, between Gravik and Fury, I thought this was Gravik's like best moment of the series. This like monologue he has with Fury. Up until this point, I did not like anything this guy did as Gravik. Like the actor, I thought, like, again, it's just probably a mixture of poor writing and then just something seemed off in almost every scene he was in. I was just like, I can't get behind this.
Would you call it angsty?
Yeah, but that wasn't really even the thing for me. I understood, like, at least
he had a reason.
Most of them do have a reason, but like the angst is not in proportion to the reason. If that makes sense. Like, this seems a little different. I understood the angst, and that part like worked. I think the character itself wasn't like terrible. It's just I didn't
Something
buy
about it.
the performance of the character until this moment, and this, like, conversation with Fury there where he,
Mhm.
like, loses it and, like, his little speech to him, I thought was just, like, awesome. I was like, "Holy crap. Really sucks that there's only, like, 20 minutes left of this entire series, and we finally got, like, an awesome moment from, Gravik here."
Yeah.
But I really like this whole scene. I like the fight scene at the end. Some of the CGI maybe looks a little goofy. Some of it kind of looked cool. Um, the weird like morphing of Gaia and Gravik as they're fighting into all the different powers that they kind of get, I
Yeah.
thought was interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, I thought it was weird. Like just the way, I mean, she didn't look right because she was so disproportionate. Like she had this massive one arm. She's this little woman, and
Yeah,
like she's just like running with these
yeah.
big arms.
Dude, my favorite is when she gets like the Drax arm
Yeah.
and it's like conveniently like she's like flexing
Yeah.
when she gets it, but like the upper part of her arm is massive, but like the forearm part still looks like Amelia Clark's forearm, but like painted as Drax.
Right.
And then like that in proportion to her actual body was just like I was just like, what is happening here?
I thought
What is going on?
it was a little, I mean, it I don't think it looked bad. I don't think it was like that. I just think it was too much all at once. Like so much was happening.
Yeah.
Um, like two really overly powered scrolls fighting it out to the death. Um, and they had all these freaking powers. Like when's it gonna end? Like, was it actually gonna end? Like that's where my mind was. Like, how can there be an end to this when they're both equally as strong? You know?
Mhm.
Um,
Because part of the powers, by the way, oh man, I can't forget the villain, but it was like the villain of like Iron Man 2 or something. Um, when their body would glow that reddish, like orange, not like Captain Marvel glowing,
mhm,
but more like the almost like on fire under the skin glow. That was from that movie, that villain, that like terrorist group there that was they had like self or like healing regeneration was part of the power, hence why Gravik's hand was able to be healed when he pulled it out from the knife after Talos stabbed him in the restaurant, why he was able to heal his face after being shot like point
right.
blank from Nick Fury. So like yeah, to add to the OP-ness, like they could also just heal themselves, except unless you like get
Yeah,
your entire chest cavity blasted out by like Captain Marvel beam. I don't even know what
right.
that was, but um
I
yeah.
mean, here's my overall feeling about everything. They could have given themselves some more time to really like hash out some of these themes.
Yeah.
Um, especially like the whole who's a scroll. That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what show did it. Babylon B, maybe, where they were trying to figure out who like a certain type of people were. I could be totally wrong.
Mhm.
Um, something like that. But I thought that was really cool, and I wish that they would have like done more with that. Um, uh, yeah,
Yeah, I think
uh,
like there were just a lot of like I don't know if plot holes is the appropriate word to describe this, but like some inconsistencies or things that just like didn't really make sense. Um I'm gonna try to find it, but Ben from our Discord pointed some out the other day. Um, Here, I found it. He said, the idea that 500 out of 1 million, being the Skrulls, want to kill 8 billion humans to have their own planet is asinine. Like, dog, simply, or your supply chains will be destroyed. Plus, assuming you can survive a nuclear holocaust, which they could from the radiation standpoint, but they're not immune to being blown up into pieces.
The blast, yeah.
How are you going to grow food? The other basically million Skrulls are going to be like, WTF, I was doing fairly well. Now you expect me to serve your dictatorness? Like, also how quickly the council turned
Yes.
from being like, Gravik, you're kind of a crazy lunatic, to, yes, bro, you got my full support and devotion. With literally no actual showcase of power was dumb, which I totally agree. Yeah, I wonder where they come up with these limited series episode counts. Like,
I was wondering the same
could
thing.
could we not squeeze out 8 episodes, maybe 9, to further develop some of these characters and plot points? Is it a budget thing? I would assume not, because we're talking about Disney and Marvel.
This was over $200 million, their budget for this.
Yeah. I feel like budget doesn't matter to these people. Like,
well, no. Well, and it's not like they had all these flashy, CGI moments, except for the end. It didn't look like that big of a budget.
It's not like every 5 minutes there was Skrulls transforming into humans or humans into Skrulls on screen, on camera, right? You're not paying for those effects to be utilized every 5 minutes. But there were quite a few effects, especially at the end there. I feel like I would say like 80% of the budget for CGI work probably the last 15 minutes of the season.
So
for sure.
I read somewhere that this was initially supposed to be a movie.
It was supposed to be a movie, which, man, that probably would have been even worse.
Trying to cram all that stuff into.
Well, I wonder what the total runtime is of the 6 episodes, because I don't think they were a consistent length.
No, they weren't.
So I wonder, adding up, because you got to also account for the Disney Plus credits, which for Star Wars and Marvel shows, it's like 7 minutes worth of credits, which is crazy. I wonder if the length of actual episode time versus if it would compare to like an actual runtime of a movie. Yeah, I feel like they could have stretched this out easily 2 additional episodes to get some more development, to make some storylines actually make sense. You could go maybe even to 9 or 10 episodes, but alas, that's not what we got. If we're talking like dislikes, I'm gonna just throw this one out there. Rhodey and what he's being dubbed on the internet as Scrody in his Skrull form. I did not make that up. Yeah, Scrody really, 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 really got on my nerves, because I feel like this 1000% writing, like,
it was bad.
How are you gonna write this character so polar opposite of him? Like, first time I see him on screen in this, I'm like, dude, that's not Rhodey. Like, that's not how he acts.
And the fact that Fury didn't catch on to it right away.
Yeah.
How are you not gonna know?
He caught on like pretty quick, but like he should have known like almost immediately.
Instantly, dude.
Yeah. I really disliked how they tried, like how Scrody tried to portray Rhodey. it's just, yeah, it's
And
just,
the way that they revealed him being a Skrull.
yeah, it's actually a female Skrull taking a shower, and then the old like TikTok like mirror wave.
It was so cringy and so like,
yeah, but like, man, I just got so annoyed because that could have been a really, really cool plot twist.
yeah.
But like, if you
They
did not,
just kind of threw it out there. Like,
if you did not pick up on Scrody in like the first 2 minutes of his screen time, like, shame on you. Bad job out of you.
well, when he was in the meeting with the other country leaders,
Yeah.
I kind of like, I don't think I questioned it.
I mean, he's like throwing around like saying he wouldn't hesitate to carpet bomb like a whole country. And I'm just like, what? Like Rhodey was like the calm figure in the scenes where Tony Stark was in the courtroom. Like he is like the calming,
but
like,
he did have his moments interacting with Stark.
oh yeah, but I mean, it just
probably not in that setting.
Scrody was so out of character, and I'm sorry, I'm just gonna use it. Like I heard it today, and it's just Scrody.
It's just stuck. Yeah,
and, you know, it's kind of also perfectly describes how he acted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been such a cool reveal and plot twist, but like he was just so.
I feel like
character.
that's the general feeling of the whole show.
Yeah,
you know,
man, that could have been so cool, but just really fumbled that. Yeah, you brought up Maria Hill. I wrote down, you know, I started to write down the meaningful deaths, and really there was only 3. Yeah, Maria Hill, sad to see her go, but she's definitely dead, because 1,
she was not a Skrull.
She died, and she didn't change back into a Skrull.
Right.
And if you want to be like, well, maybe the camera wasn't on her long enough. She was not in the human pods in, you know, Chernobyl Light. So that was Maria Hill.
I was actually waiting to see her. Like I was waiting for it. I was like hoping that she would still be alive.
Yeah, so that sucks. I mean, very tertiary character in the MCU, but has been around since the beginning. So
yeah.
Rest in peace. You know, we enjoyed you. Talos, my man. That's that one kind of stung a little bit.
That one was rough.
And then of course Gravik. Those were the only 3 that really. I mean, a lot of people died in like attacks and stuff, but if we're talking about like,
well, I mean, if we want to go through like
bigger characters, yeah.
You know, another person I wasn't really impressed by.
Who?
Was the president. Ritzik.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't convinced.
Yeah.
In the scene in the hospital where they're after the shootout and they're taking the president to the hospital. And there's like no security in the hospital at all.
Yeah, there's like 2 people and a nurse.
And then Fury's helping, talking, and pushing the cart. And they're like, you don't have security.
That, and then the fact that like this was another one of those scenes where I was just like face palming. And I'm like, oh, this was a combination of like bad writing and then like one of my qualm is word of the day for me. I've used that word like 50 times today. But one of the things where I was like, oh, Samuel, come on now, where he's like leaning down, he's like, Rhodey's a Skrull. Like there's or whatever he was whispering.
Saying, don't trust. Yeah.
Screwed. And I'm like, really, guys, we're going to do that. Like, really? Like, I thought that was so cheesy. So,
and
cringy.
Then he didn't even listen to him.
Yeah. Cause he was like dead. He was unconscious. Like, why are you doing that, man? Why? Yeah, so I want to rewind a little bit. I know we were just talking about the president. I have things to say about the president's speech at the end. But before we do that, I did have, something written down about the Fury Gravik, well, Gaia Gravik conversation before their fight, before the super Skrull powers and Gravik were. Let me rewind.
Again.
Yeah. So we see Gaia and Gravik both heal themselves. So,
Yes.
hey, what's up, Jordan?
Woo!
How's it going? He says, this episode of Showboy seems better than the entire Secret Invasion series.
Wow.
I don't know whether or not to take that as a compliment or not, because the bar is not very high.
It's pretty low.
But thank you. I can't wait for you to listen to the part where we tried to talk about comics and probably totally butchered everything. So have fun with that.
This is why we need you.
Exactly. So like Gravik and Gaia both have healing powers before the super Skrull process takes place, right? Because we see Gravik heal himself. We see Gaia get shot and killed, but then brought back to life. So they must have had some like that 4 hero villain power set that she saw in like the 1993 DOS computer.
Mm-hmm.
They must have had that, and then both got like more super powered during this scene. But that's not even what I want to talk about. Knowing that Fury was actually Gaia in this scene, I think plays big implications on the future of Gaia's character and her role in the MCU moving forward. Because if you think about the stuff that Gravik was telling Fury, specifically about how he got his identity, right? And that was his first victim, the first person he killed under the command of Fury.
Mm-hmm.
And like it focuses on Nick's face during that, and he kind of like, is like kind of a confused / disgusted look, kind of like that's Gaia learning about this stuff for the first time, right? Like she's like, wait a second, like you were essentially a hitman for Fury, which is what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
That has to leave a sour taste, I would assume, in Gaia's mouth for humanity, which she was kind of already teetering that edge anyways, right? Because she was a part of this rebel group, but then she realized like how psychotic Gravik actually is. And eventually they fight and she kills him. So she's not like totally against humanity, but I think she's probably on that fence, right? Especially learning from Gravik there, like how Fury was using the Skrulls exactly, and kind of how dirty humanity can be.
Right.
So, yeah, that kind of makes me wonder how that's going to play out now that she's the most OP character in all of fiction.
So what's next in the timeline? Because like she has to fit in somewhere, right? Like she just doesn't go away.
Yeah,
she's gonna work.
So Joe says,
because Mike's back,
because I'm back. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. He also says, good observation on that. I hadn't considered that she just learned that there.
Yeah.
Now I want to go back and watch that scene. Yeah, go take a look, Ski. But yeah, so you're talking like, are you talking like timeline wise as far as what's being released next? Or
like
I want to say the Marvels.
Marvels is next, and Fury's in that.
Yeah.
So I wonder, because they got to do something with the Skrulls. because
Yeah.
it's going to be mass chaos now.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like a big part of Captain Marvel's story so far in the MCU has revolved around the Skrulls. Obviously, Fury has revolved around the Skrulls. So I'm sure the events of this series will probably have some impact on that movie and the story we're told there. But yeah, I wonder if Gaia will show up in that movie or what, because I don't know if she's Emilia Clarke being credited in any projects at the moment outside of this one. But yeah, so we have that scene, right, where Gaia learns of this. She defeats Gravik, and then at the end of the episode, Sonya recruits her essentially into the the British Shield, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I really wonder like what the future holds for Gaia and like where she's going to sit on this like humanity versus or like human versus off-world species war that's coming up, because one of the last things that I had written down to talk about really is the president's speech there at the end, right? He he straight up like declares war on, quote, all off-world species. They're now enemies of the United States / Earth, apparently, because we control everything, allegedly.
Right.
But yeah, so off-world species. Let's take a look. Obviously, Skrulls. You know who else is an off-world species? The Guardians of the Galaxy. You know who else?
Most
the
of the Avengers.
How about the Asgardians that literally now have a settlement on Earth?
Yeah.
Like, and just kind of like became an official place on Earth.
They might be grandfathered in now at this point.
But are they really? Because they're technically an off-world species. You have some Kree like floating around on Earth. Like, we're not just talking Skrulls here, which, by the way, there's still like almost a million Skrulls floating around out there, blending in with everyone.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, his speech there at the end is nuts. Like,
yeah,
he just declared war.
And then you had like these people just randomly killing everything.
Yeah. Oh, that I was not expecting those scenes. I'm gonna.
It was a very dark show. Like,
yeah.
But I liked that part though. Like, it went a dark path, like a darker theme. What'd he say?
Well, first he says, British
gosh.
Shield, quick, I need an acronym for that. Carpet. You need to tell me what that acronym, what all those letters stand for. But what made me laugh, he said, well, as Guardians are mostly whites, they may have privilege.
They might be okay.
Yeah, you know what? You're right, Joe. Right. Anyways, what were you going to say?
I don't know.
Way to go, Joe.
They're killing everybody. Oh, they're the show took on a darker tone and feel.
Yes.
Which I really liked, especially with the theme of it, you know, with the political thriller and all that.
Yeah, and that's kind of another comparison you could make to Andor, because again, a lot of Star Wars stuff is more, I mean, they do have their moments, but it's kind of more lighthearted, like family,
it's more PG
friendly type movies, right? But Andor was like Star Wars for adults.
Exactly.
And you know, some of the themes and tone of Secret Invasion kind of went that way, but these scenes there at the end like really went there, right? Like, you have people coming into a news set and like mowing down the anchor who actually was a Skrull.
Yeah.
Then you have somebody assassinate the UK Prime Minister, who was not a Skrull.
Yeah.
Because she got freed there. Super dark. They just straight up showed the murder of the UK Prime Minister. That's nuts. And then, of course, the attack there at the end, which somehow that lady like had some crazy like combat training and was able to fight off a room full of henchmen and survive.
Yeah.
But yeah, took an unexpected dark turn there at the end, which I was totally caught me off guard for a Marvel project.
But I also think that's going to set up, or is setting up for more.
Yeah.
I think it has to, unless they are that stupid.
Yeah, and it kind of leans some kind of lends some explanation into the title choice for the next Captain America movie, New World Order. Kind of makes a little bit more sense. Where
Brave New World, is that what it is?
Did they change it? It was at one point New World Order.
Maybe I remember. That's why I was confused when I was just looking at it now.
Yeah, they might have changed it.
Brave New World is what it says here, but
you know, how is Sam Wilson going to feel about the president's, declaration of war on off-world species? Like, he's Captain America. What's he going to do? America now is just essentially declared war on everyone who's not human. And there are a lot of non-humans on the planet still. So will this storyline bleed into Captain America? Is it going to bleed into the Marvels? It's very interesting. There's a lot of places this can go, and the events of this series, I think, will play a rather large part in the next phase of movies and shows
that we're in. Season or phase 5.
Yeah, there are just simply too many Skrulls left on Earth, and just what the president made in his statement is just wild, and is going to have so many implications. So Joe came in with his carpet acronym here: Coalition for Assisting, Representing, and Protecting Extraterrestrials. Very nice.
Well done.
Get a gold star. That was good. Shoot, there was. Oh, can we just talk about this? This was one of those inconsistencies that made absolutely no sense to me. One of the other things we see happening at the end is the freeing of the humans from Chernobyl light.
Mm-hmm.
We have, of course, Rhodey there,
yeah,
which we need to talk about that. We have what's Martin Freeman's character's name? I always forget.
I don't know.
Agent Ross? Is it Ross? Might be Ross. He was there. They free the humans, and they all just kind of walk out, right? But they've been held captive
for like 15 years.
I don't, maybe not that long.
Okay.
I don't know how long. But like Ross hasn't been there too
Ross,
long.
that's who it is.
I wouldn't imagine Ross being there too long. Rhodey is another conversation we have to have, because I saw something in a video that could be rather nut punchy to Marvel fans. But regardless, they've been there for quite some time in nuclear fallout. How are these people walking out of there? Like, Fury, could bear. Well, I mean, that was Gaia acting, but like what we were shown led to believe that somebody like Fury, after just being there for maybe an hour or so trying to find Gravik, or borderline dying, all these other humans that have been there for months, maybe years, maybe decades,
right,
just can get up and walk out and have zero like effects of radiation on their bodies. I don't know. That was something immediately where I was like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rhodey, there was a lot of speculation when it came out that he was a Skrull, of when he became a Skrull. And it's some people might be like, Mike, why does it matter? At one point, he was a human, and at one point, he became, he was captured and was assumed, his identity was assumed by a Skrull. Who gives? Well, we've seen Rhodey go through quite an emotional journey in the MCU here.
Mm-hmm.
He's fought alongside Tony Stark in Civil War. He went through his gut-wrenching injury, right, and recovery. He was in the Battle of Earth. He watched his best friend die. Like, he was at Tony Stark's funeral. Like, there were a lot of very emotional scenes between Rhodey and Stark and other Avengers, where if now we are assuming that was actually his Skrull counterpart, that was actually Scrody having all those emotional moments with these characters that we've seen and grown to love over the last decade, like, that kind of really cheapens all of those moments because it wasn't actually Rhodey. So now the Rhodey that just got freed is just now going to learn for the first time that his best friend died, that Thanos snapped half of the entire existence of everything out of existence, and then all of a sudden 5 years later they came back and like all this crazy stuff's happened. Like, you can't really do that. But you might be asking, well, Mike, what the heck makes you think that Rhodey missed out on all that stuff? Well, I'll tell you. This guy named Eric Voss from New Rockstars, like, he's too good at his dang job. Okay. He noticed, the team over at New Rockstars noticed that the white gown Rhodey was in as he was coming out of the pod, and the fact that, like, as he came out of the pod, he could kind of barely stand and needed to be like held up by two other people and helped out, right? Mm-hmm. So we're led to believe maybe his legs aren't working that great. And again, he's in a white hospital gown, whereas everyone else kind of were just in the clothes that they were probably captured in, right? So why the heck would he be like, why would he just be in a white hospital gown? Well, last time he was in a white hospital gown that we saw him on screen was actually in Captain America Civil War when he was getting an MRI. So this implies that Rhodey was captured after, during, before his MRI in Captain America Civil War. Wow. Do you know how long ago that was? That was so long ago.
That was a long time ago.
So that scene, unless it is somehow retconned and explained in future properties, could just really be like a giant nut punch to like any big Marvel fan that was emotionally invested in any of those scenes where Rhodey was emotionally invested throughout massive moments in the MCU. So at first, when I heard that point being brought up, I was probably like most of you, where I was like, Mike, who cares? But then after thinking about it and hearing it fully explained, I was like, actually, yeah, that kind of really would suck. I really hope that's not the case. But yeah, so I'll just throw that out there for you guys and let you chew on that and take it as you like it. And I don't know.
That's crazy. So he didn't experience Battle of Earth.
I mean, right? I'm not saying for certain, but that's kind of the theory that was thrown out in that New Rockstars video.
Or the blip.
Yeah. So Joe says, and if people were captured and blipped, did they blip back and reattach to the machines? I don't know. That's a good question. It's a really good question.
Wow. Because, well, he didn't blip.
Yeah, he actually survived.
He did survive. So,
or was it just his Skrull counterpart that survived? No, I don't know. Yeah, I think. What did you think of the Fury Priscilla relationship and how that roller coaster
It was weird.
happened?
The whole like standoff at the table with the guns was kind of weird. How like they both like it was just building up and they both picked up the gun and shot and they both missed.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wanted them to work out. You know, I wanted him to come back to her because he kept leaving her.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, a human and an alien. It's weird. It's weird. And when they were making out at the end,
like the makeout scene was a little weird.
This is weird. What are you trying to program us?
But I did appreciate. I thought the storyline was super cool. Like, so essentially, she was like a sleeper agent for Gravik, right? Her whole task, the whole reason this relationship started, she was trying to find somebody who she think would be appealing to Nick so she could get in this relationship with him and kind of like spy on him and then eventually, you know, control him in whatever way she would have to do, right? Super cool concept. And then
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna just say, which would have been cool if they would have taken their time to like explore this a little bit more, because again, I kind of feel like it was rushed.
Yeah. I mean, only having 6 episodes, you're gonna have that. Which again, I mean, you can just two more episodes.
2 more. That would have been fine.
Not asking for much. Yeah, super interesting. And then the fact that like she kind of did fall in love with him.
Yeah,
pretty cool storyline. And then the fact that like he then figures it out and then they kind of like have the standoff. Like, I loved the storyline. I love the fact that, you know, during all this, another thing like playing into it is like, you know, we've been married. Do you just like me in this disguise, right? Or do you like me for who I actually am? Do I need to wear this, you know, human skin for this to work? And I actually thought it was pretty cool that while he was like, after the standoff, he's like, well, I guess we'll never know. And I was like, dang, bro. Dang, dude. But then we do find out. And I thought it was cool that like actually it worked out. I thought it was neat. Could have done without like the human alien making out. It's just like, I don't know.
That was weird.
It was just weird. It's just weird. Like, I'm glad that it worked out, but like,
I didn't need to see 5 minutes.
Have you seen their teeth? Like Skrull teeth?
They're like
how did his
daggers.
tongue not just get like shredded to like? Yeah, I don't know.
She likes me for me.
Not because my name is Nick Fury. Sorry.
Right.
Anyways, I apologize for that. Yeah, I thought it was a cool storyline. I thought the Gaia, like being the daughter of like the good guy, but like working for the bad guy, like, you know, seen that story like a million times. Not quite sure how I felt really about Emilia Clarke. Like, it's okay, I guess. Maybe I'm just used to her as like Danny. I don't know. How'd you feel about it? Do you think it was all right? Like, she's just like OP now, so
there weren't like really many at all standout characters in this show for me.
That's fair. But like I said at the beginning, like I do kind of wish I would have watched Black Widow, because I think there was probably a lot of references to Black Widow stuff since the majority of this took place in Russia, and you know, that probably would have been nice to maybe know. Joe says she likes me for me, not because I'm played by Samuel Jackson. Kissing aliens is whack, son. Married to E.T. That's good. I'm gonna need the ukulele version of that on your next stream, please.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Because you know he sang it before he sent it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which, by the way, go check out Ugly Kid Joe Cross on Twitch.
Absolutely.
Occasionally during the streams,
He's playing Dead Space.
He is, and it's hilarious because he hates being scared. It's so great.
I love it.
One of his channel point redemptions is to set a timer, and every time it goes off, even though he set the timer, he scares himself, and it's great. And one time, I'm sure it's got to be clipped somewhere, but his wife like came in and like scared the crap out of him, and I like peed laughing. It was amazing. But yeah, overall, I'd say pretty mediocre. However, the implications of this, I don't know. I don't even know if I'd say aggressively. I think it's worse than aggressively mediocre.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still like in the mediocre tier.
Sure.
However, the implications of this series, I think, are mega, and like there's a lot that could come of this, and there's a lot to think about for the future of the MCU.
Yeah.
Namely, the most overpowered character in the creation of every made-up story in universe ever being Gaia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how they're going to handle that. You have anything else you want to say about this, or anything at all?
Nope.
All right. Joe says it is clipped, so go search through his clips because that was a really funny one. Yeah, I guess before we get out of here, dude, you watching or playing anything else?
Wow, you threw me off guard.
It's all right. While you think, Joe said it had better pay off well, and I believe he's talking about the larger implications of Secret Invasion.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Because the clip did pay. It does have a good payoff. Clip for sure. But yeah.
So I'm playing Sekiro.
Nice. How's that treating you?
I'm very frustrated.
I did get a random Facebook message from you, I think last night, of you saying how angry you were.
Yeah. I'm still playing Dead Cells. That's a good one. Playing Tomb Raider, obviously. Watching, I'm actually going through my second watch of Severance.
Nice.
I freaking love that show.
Dude, I'm so glad there's another one. So glad someone else likes it.
Yeah, and season 2 next February. Hopefully.
Oh, did it actually?
Because I don't know if it got halted by the writer's strike.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder if it got wrapped up before all this stuff went down. Which I guess in hindsight, right? I was talking about earlier, kind of having not really been watching much stuff. This couldn't have come at a better time, I think.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I know like it started before the strikes, but like, how long is this going to go? Am I really going to be missing much? I don't know. Yeah. So, hey, thanks for asking. I've been playing. Oh man!
Hey, no. Everyone knows what you're playing, man. You're playing Pokemon.
That's true. No, I started my third playthrough of Banner Saga. This time,
nice.
Combination of PC and the Steam Deck, taking advantage of the cloud save, which is really cool. I'm going through it again because I played 1 and 2 on the Switch, like I've talked about a handful of times. However, I recently bought the trilogy for $13 on Steam during the Steam sale or the summer sale. So I could finally get the third game because the third game, for whatever reason, never goes on sale on the Switch. And instead of just jumping right into the third game, the cool thing about these games is your save carries over. All your characters and their level ups and items and stuff carry over between games. So I want to try to get some decent characters and stuff going into the third one. Been playing Pokemon Ultra Sun on the deck, which has been awesome. I'm enjoying my team. The one downside of emulating games, for those of you who may not emulate much, for the Pokemon games specifically, you miss out on trade evolutions. There's some Pokemon evolve, or most Pokemon evolve by level. Some evolve by like using items on them. Even fewer amount evolve when you trade them to somebody, and even fewer evolve with some like random functions of whatever the Nintendo system had at the time that generation was released. So one of the things with emulation, obviously, you can't trade Pokemon, so you miss out on those evolutions. Kind of suck. But I have a Pokemon on my team that I didn't realize had like a really gimmicky evolution requirement. And it's already like level 31, so it's been on the team for quite some time, and like I actually like it and really want its evolution. But the way you evolve this Pokemon is when it levels up, you have to turn this was on a 3DS, you have to turn the 3DS upside down and then it would evolve. Well, I'm not playing on a 3DS, so like I'm going through an emulator, which apparently does not recognize the Steam Deck's like gyroscope features, because I leveled it up and turned it upside down. It didn't evolve. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like reading online. I'm like, okay, if I'm playing on PC and I hold down the right click on the bottom touchscreen part of the screen, when it levels up, it should evolve. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But I'm not playing it on PC. I'm playing on my Steam Deck. So I guess I could just plug my mouse in and do that. Maybe if I just touch the touch screen and like apparently if you do this on your phone, touch the touch screen and like drag your finger up, that's supposed to simulate the emulator is flipping upside down. So I don't know. That kind of makes me sad. I have a lot of experimenting to do to get this dumb Pokemon, but if I figure it out, I'll be really, really happy. And then we started for Pokeboys, we started our playthrough of season 2, and we're slowly going through and recording our episodes, which you may or may not have heard me talk about on here on Thursdays, or if you've listened to season 1, you know what the concept is. We did a type draft. We're calling it a draft lock. We couldn't really find this concept on YouTube, so we may be the first to try this. I don't know. But essentially, Jared and I took turns picking Pokemon types that we could make our teams out of during our run through a ROM hack called Pokemon Row, which is a hack of Pokemon Emerald. I just finished up my playthrough of Leg 2, which was our 3rd and 4th badge. And man, I'm having so much fun. Like the restraints we have on our playthrough are pretty wild. We can only use Pokemon of certain types, which really limits a lot of the Pokemon you're able to use. And it's been super interesting trying to build a team out of like a fraction of the total Pokemon that you can actually have in the game. And we have a system where each time you get a gym badge, you're allowed to catch a mulligan Pokemon, where you can catch a Pokemon that has one of your types but shares a type of one that you don't have, and you can have one of those on your team. So at the end of this leg, I had a couple mulligan catches I could use, and I had like a really hard time. Like it took me like a couple hours of deliberating of like, I would go through all the areas and like see which mulligan Pokemon were spawning in areas, and I would wrote them all down. And then I was like, which one of these would be really cool to have on my team? I really need to pick a good one, so I make sure I have like the type coverages I need. And it took me forever. And the funny part is I had 2 catches I could do. I picked two Pokemon I could catch, but I already have a mulligan Pokemon on my team, so I can't even use those 2. So I like spent all that time like deliberating who I was going to catch and like planning out. I'm like, if I have this type combination, then I am super effective against these, and then it protects me from their super effective moves, or I could do this one, and I'm not even using either of them. But I don't know. Maybe I'll switch it up. I don't know. Only time will tell. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been playing. I haven't really been watching much. So,
Nice.
Well, it's a pretty epic 150th episode, I think, and I thank you for sharing your Thursday evening to be a part of it with me, Dad.
You bet.
We're going to go now. Make sure you check out our Patreon, patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Go over there. Support us if you feel so inclined. And you can get access to cool perks and things like monthly episodes that are exclusive to Patreon, other bonus content over there, and free merch every once in a while. So go check it out. Patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away an OLED Switch. So subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace
Goodbye.
out.
With all this alien talk going on and the fact that we just talked about a show called Secret Invasion makes me want to watch the second season of Great Apple Plus original called Invasion. That is about aliens. If I could just find the motivation to watch a show.
With all this talk about aliens in this show that we just watched, I wonder if they're trying to tell us something.
Maybe they're preparing us.
Maybe they're already among us.
The truth is out there.